As a beauty blogger, I'm definitely what you'd consider an avid cosmetics user. You name it, I've got it. Probably many different name brands of it. And while I do occasionally snag a sponsorship for promoting a product on my blog now and then, it can be a bit of a costly obsession. Anyone who has purchased their fair share of makeup or bath and body products for themselves, girlfriends, mothers, sisters, or friends will surely empathize with the struggle of the sometimes ridiculous prices. So, when it comes to finding a great deal on some of my favorite brands and products, I'm always on the lookout. But this is going to be a cautionary tale. Never sacrifice quality for cost when it comes to beauty products, and here's why. Now, even though makeup reviews are my specialty, my true weakness are bath and skincare products. I've always prided myself on having silky smooth skin from head to toe, mostly thanks to a consistent regimen of exfoliating, moisturizing, and lots of regular, warm baths. For me, there was nothing more relaxing than a nice soak in a bath with a body oil, bubble bar, or my personal favorite, a bath bomb. Bath bombs were always a consistent favorite of mine. I love the variety of colors, shapes, fragrances, and textures. But if you've ever purchased a bath bomb at the mall or specialty store, you understand when I say that they are definitely a splurge item. At anywhere from $5 to $15 per bath bomb, people will frequently look to websites such as Etsy to find cheaper bundles of homemade bath bombs. But in my experience, the homemade bath bombs from sites like Etsy are more affordable but lacking in most of the essential oils and ingredients that supply the added benefits that I'm looking for in a bath bomb. They're nice for when you just want to have a cutely colored or sweetly scented warm soak, but for a skin routine like mine, they're just rarely worth it. I'd rather just shell out the extra cash for my little indulgence. So you can imagine my excitement when I received an email from one of my blog's readers informing me about a listing on a popular e-commerce auction site for a case of bath bombs from my favorite retailer being sold at a wholesale price. I know what you're probably thinking. That seems too good to be true, right? Strangely enough, it's actually quite a common occurrence. For a variety of reasons, usually around the holidays or maybe a store promotion, franchise owners for this particular retailer will often order an overstock of popular items like these to prepare for the rise in demand. When the promotions don't do as well as the franchise had hoped, they'll try to at least make their investment back by selling the merchandise at wholesale prices online. I followed the link to the auction listing provided in the email and was astounded at the price of the offer. A dozen of my favorite bath bombs for 20% less than wholesale cost. Surely, I thought to myself, there has to be a catch. I closely scanned the item description, meticulously trying to uncover the reason for such an outrageously good deal. After carefully reviewing over and over, the only flaw I could find to attribute to the product was damaged packaging. Score. Online warehouses or web stores will often hide hidden gems like this listing. Less than perfect packaging means that there's a chance the seller will not be able to sell the product for wholesale value without a negative seller review from the customer who receives it. Unfortunately, a lot of online sellers aren't willing to risk the negative review in an era where product reviews shape the opinion of the average consumer. I've had lucky finds like this one in the past. I once got a brand new Blu-ray player for under $100 because of a hole in the manufacturer packaging. Finding listings like these are a game of chance and timing, and at the time, I thought I had found a steal. Of course, another common issue is that you'll often find with amazing online prices is the fact that they'll likely be shipped from a country across the globe, which means that unless you're willing to shell out a bunch of money for expedited shipping and handling, you'll likely be waiting up to a month for your purchase to arrive. Sure enough, the product's location was in West India. The estimated delivery date was 3.5 weeks. It was a bummer that I'd have to wait so long, but the cost of expedited shipping was almost as much as the product itself, and I didn't want to sabotage such a great deal. If I wanted to pay that much money, I would have just gone to a local outlet of the same retailer and bought them in person. I begrudgingly accepted the delivery estimate and placed the order. A few weeks later, I came home from work to find the package waiting for me at my front door. Perfect timing, as I was just coming home from a brutally stressful day in the world of customer service. I couldn't wait to tear open into my package and run myself a long overdue warm bath. I turned on the faucet and waited for the water to finish filling the bathtub, all while admiring my cute little treasures. No signs of damage to the actual bath bombs themselves, just a hole in the bottom of the package, just as the listing had described. I saw a bit of degeneration to the bath bombs, which I chalked up to being the result of their shelf life. I imagine that since they were so discontinued that they must have been the result of a dramatic overstock from a failed store promotion. Finally, the water was almost to the desired depth, and I poured a little bit of foaming bath oil into the tub before tossing in my bath bomb. That day had been particularly stressful, and I decided that a simple bath bomb wasn't enough. I wanted bubbles, too. Large, fluffy clouds of suds soon piled high across the surface of the water, and I tossed my bath bomb in. I could hear the familiar fizzing sound that I'd come to love and climbed into the tub. Immediately, I could smell the rich essential oils and fragrances surrounding me as I closed my eyes and let my body sink below the bubble-covered water. Everything was perfect, for the moment, until, suddenly, my arms and legs started to sting terribly. Then my abdomen. My entire body felt like it was on fire. I quickly jumped out of the tub, covered in soapy foam, my skin burning and beginning to itch like nothing that I'd ever felt before. That familiar fizzing sound seemed to follow me out of the tub as I frantically ran to the sink and started to splash handfuls of water all over my body to wash away the suds. What I saw terrified me. My entire body from the neck down was covered in small black holes on the surface of my skin. The flesh surrounding those holes was red and horribly inflamed. I panicked and began shrieking, falling backwards onto my bathroom floor. Upon closer inspection, I confirmed my worst fear. The holes were actually moving. I gagged upon the discovery that every single small hole was in fact an insect burrowing into my skin. I grabbed my cell phone to call 911, passing out shortly after from a combination of shock and disgust. When I woke up a few hours later in the hospital, my entire body was wrapped in bandages. I didn't even want to know what was beneath them. My stomach turned at the thought of the thousands of moving little holes that I had seen shortly before losing consciousness. A nurse came in to tend to me a while later, doctor in tow. He informed me that upon finding me on the bathroom floor, one of the paramedics had inadvertently stepped on a bath bomb, crushing it to pieces. When they saw movement coming from the crushed bath bomb, they grabbed the box of them and brought it to the hospital to help them identify the cause of my current state. Upon further inspection, it was discovered that the bath bombs were infested with a horrid species of skin-burrowing insects indigenous to West India, known as the Chiyogi flea. I don't recommend Googling it, so I'll summarize them for you. Chiyogi fleas burrow into the flesh of living creatures to lay their eggs inside of the host's tissue. Before that even happens, the process of burrowing into the skin causes severe irritation and intense pain, caused by enzymes used by the insect to break down the flesh. After explaining to the doctor where I had acquired the bath bombs from, he speculated that the insects may have found their way into the packaging via the hole in the box. He advised that they likely burrowed into the bath bombs due to the scent of a familiar plant oil or the texture of the bath bombs themselves. So, here I lay in this hospital bed. The doctor just left about an hour ago, so I had some time to kill and thought I'd type this up. Thank you for taking the time to read my review of this product. I'd give these bath bombs a 2 out of 10. Definitely not for sensitive skin types like mine. I've been on a health kick lately. Well, my girlfriend dumped me and I wanted to be a different person. With her, I had been this lazy sort of slug who would eat anything. I wanted the revenge body, you know? I wanted her to see me from afar and feel bad about what she had lost. So I went to a health food store for one of those ballerina teas that make you lose weight as though you had a tapeworm, you know? And I wanted a cleanse. Really, I wanted a soul cleanse, but did you know you can buy like 40 different types of cleanses as kits in a box? I had found my ballerina tea and like 6 other teas that promised to fix my electrolytes and detox my blood and stuff. Health food stores are awesome. There are all these magical things. It's the stuff dreams are made of. I was standing in front of this wall, this whole wall of cleanse kits. For $40, I could cleanse my liver, my colon, my yeast, and this totally beautiful girl came up to me. She worked there, and her name tag said her name was Ameria, Persian or from one of the Istan countries or something. Totally exotic and gorgeous and out of my league. She was probably out of my ex's league too. We had been together for 8 years. You know how people say that one lesbian in a couple is the butch and one is the lipstick or the femme? We hadn't started out like that. We were both women, daughters of Eve. I had been so comfortable for the first time in my life that I guess I let myself go. I want to lose weight and I want something that will make my skin just glow, I said, watching her eyes. Ameria was looking at me intently and my heart started to pound. I could get her to like me, couldn't I? Even if it was just the customer-salesperson relationship between us. I had been such a shut-in for 8 years. "Are you a vegetarian?" she asked. "What is your diet like?" "No, I'm not a vegetarian," I laughed. My throat hitched the way it does when I need to cry. I faked a cough. I've been eating a lot of TV dinners lately." She waited, so I made my excuse. "See, I just got out of this toxic relationship and I haven't had time to cook lately, but usually I'm almost a vegetarian, like I still eat eggs and fish." That got an approving nod, even though it was lies. Toxic? No, we had been fine. Then we had been over. And me, a vegetarian? Vegetarian lesbian? Nope. Too much of a TV trope. I ate normal food like a normal person. Sheesh. The TV dinners thing was true. That and waffles. Beautiful Ameria convinced me to take some stuff for anxiety and some more B vitamins. She said to get plenty of sleep and avoid dairy. Her skin was perfect. I mean, she looked like a shepherdess in one of those old French paintings with a blue sky and all the flowers, you know? "How do you take care of your skin?" I asked, hoping the stuff wasn't too expensive. Maybe she took a bath in coconut milk once a month. I would, for skin like that. Ameria took a deep breath. I dared myself to ask her for her number after this. "Modern lotions contain noxious chemicals and alcohols that can, dry out your skin." She lowered her voice. "Even the pure plant butters we sell here are rancid. I just wash in cold water. I never moisturize." This place had 2 whole walls of moisturizers, rose water, nut oils. You could smell like anything or nothing, and she didn't use any of it? I got a number from her, but when I called it later, it was to the health food store, so I hung up. That week, I threw out all my old moisturizers, lotions, even lip balm. I told myself that they reminded me of my ex, so good riddance. I would become a new woman. I would eat new things and be immaculate, and somebody would love me someday, but I was fine for now. My skin started to itch the morning after. I had always moisturized. Little bit on the hands and face in the morning, little bit at night. Lip balm all day long. It felt very weird not to do it. All of my showers were ice cold. The goosebumps made it feel as though my skin was going to shatter. I looked like a plucked chicken until I warmed up. Then came the real, serious wrinkles. At first, I told myself that I had just been out in the wind, that the office I worked in had dry air, but no. I looked 10 years older and it just got worse. I miss the wrinkles now because they were way better than the memories that started flooding back when I saw my old face. You see, I have been in this elderly sort of form before. I had forgotten what it was like to be alone and such a hollow husk. It had been so long. But I remember what my old beauty regimen was now. That's good because the wrinkles turned to black lines. I don't look human, and I suppose that's because I'm not. I ordered a big stock pot, some rope, and an axe. Modern times are wonderful. Too bad Amaria didn't give me her real number. I could have gotten her to come to my place the easy way. Tonight, I'm going to wait for her to get off work. I may look like a prune, but I'm still strong. I'll drag her into my car, take her home, and cook that glow right off her skin. It will serve her right.
A little while back, I started an OnlyFans account. I know what you're all thinking, but hey, I was single at the time, and I figured it was a pretty harmless way to earn a little extra dough. I started off by posting some tame stuff, and progressively got into uploading more mature images. Yeah, I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed either. I lived with my parents at the time, so I had to be careful about making my content. Like I said, I wasn't ashamed, but I knew they wouldn't be as open-minded about it. As such, I always waited until they were out of the house before I took any pictures or videos, and I didn't tell any of my friends out of fear that it would somehow get back to my folks. It was very private business. After just a few months, I couldn't believe how much money I was making on the site. I'd amassed a sizable following and monthly income, so I decided to treat myself. My wardrobe was pretty old at that point, and I decided to buy some new clothes. I hit up a local store to pick out some new outfits. Now, it might sound strange to some of you, but when I got to the store, I started live streaming to my OnlyFans followers, talking to them about changing up my style and asking for their opinions on certain items. I'd often stream to my supporters through my private, for fans-only YouTube channel during the day. I thought this built a sense of community. A lot of them enjoyed seeing me go about my life, whether I was just out shopping, at a cafe, or just blogging from my apartment, and I'd reply to their comments and connect with them. For the most part, they were well behaved and respectful during those streams, and I started recognizing a few of their names. It was pretty wholesome. I made my way through the store, holding the camera in selfie mode, engaging with my fans. After about 20 minutes or so, I ended the stream. At some point during that evening, I logged onto my page. That's when I noticed a message from one of my regulars. "Thanks for wasting our time and money by lying to all of us. You never told us you had a boyfriend. Consider this the end of my support." I was confused. Boyfriend? Where'd he get that idea? Well, this guy was one of my biggest supporters, and I was really sorry to see him go, so naturally, I sent him a message. Hey, I am single, free as a bird. I don't know who told you I wasn't. Do you think I'm stupid or something? I'll admit it took me a couple of months to notice, but it's obvious you're with some guy all the time. I see him in the background of all of your streams. He was with you at the store today. What are you talking about? The dude in the green shirt. I feel really sorry for the guy, to be honest, dating someone who does what you do. I went back to check the recording of that day's stream, and sure enough, about 5 minutes in, over my left shoulder, there was a guy in a green shirt, walking quite close behind me. He was very tall, had a muscular build, looked to be in his late 20s, but already had dark circles under his eyes and thinning hair. Okay, well that didn't prove anything, just some guy behind me at the store. I continued watching the video, and yeah, the guy did seem to be behind me for most of it, popping up throughout as if he was following me, but surely that was just a coincidence. Still, my regular's message stayed in my mind. He said he'd seen this guy in multiple streams of mine. I went back and checked the previous stream that I'd done. It was of me at the mall. Nothing seemed out of place. Then I saw him. That same guy in that same green shirt, walking behind me in the distance. That stream had lasted 47 minutes, and you could see him behind me throughout it. Sometimes far, sometimes close, but always following me. The stream ended with me at a cafe, and the guy sitting down just a couple of tables away from me, all by his lonesome. The whole time, his dark eyes were watching me. I hadn't noticed him at all. Okay, so I started getting a little freaked out at this point. Obviously, this wasn't just a coincidence. I went back and checked more of my older streams. Videos of me in town. Videos of me walking the dog at the park, chilling on the beach. In all of them, he was there, and in almost all of them, he was wearing the same green shirt. This man, who I had never seen before in my life, had been following me on what appeared to be a daily basis. He wasn't a part of my life, but I was clearly a big part of his. I wasn't sure what to do at first. He had never approached me or anything. My dad was in law enforcement, but I couldn't exactly go to him for advice. I decided to stop posting content on my account for a while, resolving to stay alert and keep an eye out for this guy, and just wait for everything to blow over. If things escalated, then I'd go and tell my pa. I figured this guy would get bored and leave me alone. Boy, how naive I was. A couple of weeks passed, and luckily I hadn't seen the green shirt guy around town. Guess my plan had worked. My fans were getting antsy about me not uploading new content, and my earnings were going down as a result. One weekend, my parents went off on a romantic getaway, and, hoping to ride the OnlyFans wave a little longer, I decided to take some new photos in my bedroom. Since I was home alone, there was no risk of being caught. That night, I cooked up some dinner in the kitchen, opened the window to air it out, and then went upstairs to snap the goods. After uploading the pictures, I started a live stream to apologize to my followers for my long absence. I told them it was back to business as usual. The salty dinner had made me thirsty, so during that live stream, I went downstairs to grab my water bottle in the living room, bringing my phone with me so I could continue interacting with my viewers. I was holding my phone out in front of me, completely oblivious to my surroundings, responding to my viewers' comments. I got to one, and as soon as I read it, my stomach dropped. "Hey Mellowcat, who's the man at your window?" In the video feed on my phone, in the corner of the screen, I noticed the small, blurry outline of a figure in the darkness behind me. I turned to see the man, the one who had been following me, standing outside, his gloved hands pressed up against the living room window, his face real close as he looked in at me, his dark eyes wide with excitement. I screamed and ran upstairs with my phone in my hand. I bounded into the bathroom and locked the door behind me as I called my parents. I cried to my dad that there was some guy outside our house, told him that he'd been following me for a long time. He said that they were on their way back right now, not to panic, and that my mum was already calling the cops. We didn't have any neighbours to call for help since we lived in such an isolated area, so he instructed me to run to the attic and to keep as quiet as possible until help arrived. I did as he suggested and unlocked the bathroom door. As I stepped out, I could hear quiet movements coming from the kitchen below. That's when I remembered. I had left the window open. This guy was inside my house. The access to the attic was in my parents' room, and I could already hear the guy softly calling out to me downstairs. "Hello? Mellowcat? Where are you?" He was calling to me, using my OnlyFans username. I sprinted into my parents' room and slammed the door behind me, and as I went to lock it, could hear the guy storming up my stairs. Luckily, locking the door gave me just enough time to pull down the attic's ladder and scamper up with the hook in my hand. As I climbed up, I could hear the man on the other side of the door, thumping into it with all of his body weight. I pulled the ladder back up and closed the attic hatch behind me. I waited up there with my hand over my mouth as I heard the door give way. My heart was beating so fast, I couldn't stop breathing heavily. Things were being thrown around and smashed in the room beneath me. All I could do was listen as the guy rampaged through my house, occasionally shouting obscenities and saying that he knew I was still in the house. This torment didn't last long, maybe only 5 minutes tops, but I felt like I was up in that attic for an eternity. The house fell silent, but I stayed up there until I heard the police sirens come rolling into our driveway. My parents weren't far behind them. During their investigation, the detectives dusted for fingerprints on the door handles. There weren't any, but there was something else. They found traces of trichloromethane. Chloroform. It must have come off a rag or off his gloved hands. The only thing missing from our house was my laptop, which had a bunch of photos of me that I hadn't released online. This guy had clearly come for the real thing, but seeing how I climbed to safety, he settled for images instead. I haven't posted anything online since, and didn't even log on to tell my followers goodbye, since I knew that he was among them. So, in the end, I came clean to my parents about what I'd been doing, and moved in with my sister in a different town for my own safety. I won't say where, for obvious reasons, as Greenshirt himself could be listening. Yeah, despite having relatively clear images of the guy's face, and knowing that he must have been from the local area and one of my followers, they never found the guy. I have no idea how he got my address. I'm just thankful I went downstairs when I did, and my viewer caught the shadowy figure outside my window. Had that guy come in while I was streaming upstairs, I might not have heard him, and who knows if I'd still be here to share this story.